I've made a lot of mistakes throughout my career, and one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen leaders make under pressure isn't choosing the wrong option. It's failing to choose something at all. Think about sitting down to watch a show and endlessly scrolling through the options, then realizing it's too late to even watch anything. Leadership decisions are the same way. Indecision costs time, trust, and results. Today, I'm going to show you how great leaders make tough decisions when the stakes are high. Hi, and welcome to the Everyday Diplomat. I'm Michael Forrest, a retired Marine Sergeant Major, former U.S. diplomat, and someone who spent the better part of 20 years leading high-performing teams through crisis, conflict, and constant change. From the battlefield to the boardroom, one truth has always held steady. Indecision paralyzes teams. Plain as day. Great leaders aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They are the ones who can make clear, confident decisions and solve problems even when the pressure is at its highest. When we're talking about people and human dynamics, there are a few things that I can say with 100% certainty, but when it comes to leadership, indecision is often more dangerous than making the wrong call. Throughout my career as a Marine, I had a saying that a 70% solution executed right now is usually better than a 100% solution delivered too late. Like any good statistic that you hear, I made those percentages up, but the point stands true. Why? It's because momentum actually matters. Teams can adapt, adjust, and recover from a less than perfect decision. What they can't recover from is pure paralysis. I've seen this truth play out on deployments and crisis response and even in corporate boardrooms. When leaders hesitate, the team loses confidence. When there's no clear decision, people stop moving, and the cost of waiting is often far greater than the cost of choosing the wrong option and then correcting later. Think about it. If you ever worked for somebody who couldn't make up their mind, you know how frustrating this is. Projects stall, energy fades, and morale is going to drop. Eventually, people are going to stop bringing ideas forward because they assume nothing is ever going to get decided. I know I'm going to get in trouble for this one, but it's like watching my wife reading a menu at any restaurant and then trying to decide what to get. It could be a restaurant that we've been to numerous times, and she's going to look at that menu as if it was the first time she was ever seeing it. It's funny because she's one of the most decisive people that I've ever met, but when we get to a restaurant, bam, indecisive mode activated. I don't know what it is about her in restaurants, but it's like her good decision-making goes bye-bye. It's like some comical switch is flipped because it's the only place that it ever happens. We could be at the best steakhouse in the entire city, and without fail, she'll order the fish, and then she'll ask me if she should get the fish. And like a good 70s or 80s movie, I'll turn my head and look into the camera, seeking sympathy from the audience, and then I'm going to tell her, no, it's a steakhouse. I'd probably recommend the steak. This has become one of our routines for nearly the past 18 years. Anyway, I'm going to get back on track before I get in any more trouble and say that great leaders understand that clarity is often more valuable than certainty. You're rarely going to have all the information that you want, but your people need direction and they need it in time to act. You know what? Maybe she orders the fish with such confidence because for her, that clarity is more important. I need to really unpack this one later. This doesn't mean that leaders act recklessly. It means that they take in what's available, weigh the essentials, and then move the team forward with confidence. Even if it's not perfect, action is going to create momentum, and momentum is going to help you build trust. And here's the reality. Most decisions can be adjusted once you're in motion. Very few are truly final. The ability to adapt mid-course is a hallmark of effective leadership, but you can't adapt to a decision that was never made in the first place. The truth is, indecision is a decision, and it's almost always going to send the message that you don't trust yourself or your team to act. That's why it's one of the fastest ways to erode credibility. And hey, if you're the type of person who's trying to level up your leadership game and you enjoy content just like this, we'd be honored if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a very simple action and it takes really no effort on your part, but it's one of the biggest ways to tell YouTube that this content matters and to help us reach more people who want to grow as leaders. And make sure you hit subscribe because next week we're diving into military leadership and leadership lessons and things from a veteran's perspective in honor of the Navy's upcoming birthday. You won't want to miss it. Leaders don't just fail by making the wrong decisions. They also fail by never making decisions at all. One of the biggest traps that leaders fall into is what I call paralysis by analysis. It feels responsible, gathering more data, waiting for the perfect answer, and considering every single possible angle. But in reality, it often kills momentum and opportunity. I'll give you a very personal example. I first had the idea to start this YouTube channel back around 2016. I told myself I just needed to research the right camera, find the best microphone, get the right lighting, treat the room for sound. Every single time that I thought I was ready, there was one more thing that I needed. And then another, and then another, and then before you knew it, I'd fallen into an endless loop of preparation. I wasn't creating, I wasn't sharing, I wasn't building anything. I was kind of just stuck, and then life happened, and we kept on moving, and what should have been my launch in 2016 didn't actually happen until this year, 2025. That's paralysis by analysis. I was so hyper-focused on finding the perfect setup that I never acted. I'll tell you what, I watched about every video there was on YouTube, though, on how to do everything absolutely right, but I never acted. And the cost was nearly a decade's worth of lost time. Leaders face the same risk. They wait for one more report, one more meeting, one more sign that it's safe to act, but then the opportunity has already passed and the team has absolutely lost energy and competitors have moved ahead. Here's the truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Leaders don't get paid to make flawless decisions. They get paid to make good decisions, but they also get trusted to make timely ones. That doesn't mean being reckless. It means knowing when you have enough to act and then acting with absolute confidence. And here's where it gets especially critical. For new leaders stepping into a role, the first 30 days are where this trap shows up the most. Everybody's watching closely. They're trying to see how you'll lead, how you'll spend that time if you're going to spend it paralyzed by your analysis, and your team's going to see your hesitation as the standard. But if you start moving, even imperfectly, you build credibility and trust from the very start. That's exactly why I created the First 30 Days course. It's designed to help new leaders avoid the trap of overthinking, to earn trust quickly and set the tone for long-term success. If you're stepping into a leadership role or preparing for that transition, I'd really encourage you to check the link in the description below. It's an incredibly practical, real-world roadmap that will help you lead with confidence from day one. The lesson is simple. Imperfect action beats perfect hesitation every single time. Did you know that complex problems rarely get solved by instinct alone? Well, now you do. I've seen plenty of leaders try to wing it when faced with tough calls. Sometimes they get lucky. More often, their decisions end up scattered, inconsistent, or really just too late to even matter. The truth is, when the stakes are high, guesswork isn't leadership. That's why great leaders rely on frameworks. A framework is simply a structured way to approach problems and decisions. It brings order to chaos and reduces the risk of emotion, bias, or panic that drives the outcome. For me, I developed a process I call the GUIDE framework. Gather, understand, initiate, deliver, and evaluate. I'm not going to unpack every single step here because I go much deeper into it inside both my paid courses, but here's the takeaway. When leaders follow a process, they make more consistent decisions under pressure. They don't stall out. They don't jump straight into reaction mode. They follow a path that helps them weigh the information, move forward with clarity, and then refine as they go. Guide has saved me from spinning my wheels more times than I can count, whether it was on deployments, managing embassy crises, or leading diverse teams in the civilian world. It gave me a map when everything else felt uncertain. And here's what I want you to remember. Your framework doesn't have to be complicated. What matters is that you have one, because a consistent process builds trust. When your people see that you approach problems systematically, they gain confidence in your decisions, even when the answers aren't easy to deliver. Without structure, leaders begin to drift. They react to the loudest voice, the newest fire, or their own stress. With structure, leaders have the opportunity to actually lead. They bring clarity, they keep momentum, and they give their team something to anchor to. So go ahead and ask yourself, do you have a system for decision-making and problem-solving, or are you still winging it? Absolutely anyone can make decisions when time is on your side and all the information is readily available. The real test of leadership is making the right call when the clock is ticking and the pressure is at its absolute peak. Pressure has a way of magnifying everything else. Stress compresses time, it narrows your options, and it really clouds your judgment. And in those moments, your team is watching you the most closely. Don't mess up. If you panic, they're going to panic. If you shut down, they're going to disengage. But if you stay calm, weigh the essentials, and provide clear priorities, they're going to find their anchor in your composure. I remember moments in deployments and in crisis response where there wasn't time to run a perfect plan. We had partial information and the risks were real. Waiting for certainty would have meant losing any form of momentum that we had, or even worse, putting lives in danger through the inaction. So we made the best call with what we could, with what we had, and then we adjusted in real time. That's what really great leaders do under pressure. They don't stall, they don't freeze, they decide, they act, and then they adapt. And that decisiveness builds trust because people see a leader who's willing to carry that weight of the momentum instead of pushing it off on the team. Leading by example in high-pressure moments doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. That's a story tale. It means acknowledging the challenges, showing composure, and giving your people the confidence that they can move forward all together. When storms hit, your team doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be ready. At the start of this episode, I told you that the biggest mistake leaders can make under pressure isn't choosing the wrong option, it's failing to choose one at all. Indecision kills momentum, overthinking delays opportunity, guesswork without structure creates inconsistency, and when the pressure's on, your team looks to you for clarity, not for perfection. Great leaders are not the ones who always pick the perfect option. They're the ones who create clarity, act when it matters, and adapt as new information comes about. And if you want to keep sharpening skills like this beyond YouTube, go ahead and check out the Diplomat's Dispatch. It's my free bi-weekly newsletter where I share practical leadership insights and stories that I don't always get to cover here on the channel. The link is in the description below. So as you head into your next week, go ahead and ask yourself, what decisions have I been avoiding? Go ahead and name it, choose it, and then lead it. And hey, if you end up ordering the fish at a steakhouse, do it with confidence just like my wife, because clarity beats hesitation every time. I'm Michael Forrest, reminding you that leadership isn't about position, it's about influence. Go ahead, lead well, and I'll see you in the next episode.